Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about tonight because our guest has been a big topic here on Sportswire Radio for a number of different reasons. Because A, his brother has been on here not once but twice, and he has certainly gotten the best of him and some. He has basically given him threats. And alongside him is our champion of the Alliance Wrestling League, Mr. ADT, who also had a lot to say about him because they had a war that was the talk of this summer, I think, in the world of the wrestling scene. He was called certain adjectives, and maybe we'll repeat them, maybe we won't, but we're going to give him his opportunity to speak. We're going to show him for the world. Is he what he says on the screen, the main event? He needs no further introduction, but because it's his first time here and it's his opportunity to respond after all the hate he's received over the past several weeks on Sportswire Radio, he is going to get that introduction that everybody else always gets. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one. Global sports show from the Alliance Wrestling League. They call him the main event. A.K. How are you, my friend?
I'm good.
All right, well, we'll certainly see if you're good. You've already got comments towards you already, and obviously, while it is an honor here on Sportswire Radio to have you, and obviously there's a lot to unpack here. We've got some announcements that are involving you shortly that I'm going to get to, but you know, Mr. AJ Morgan, for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, after all the talk that you've had toward your direction, especially from your brother, the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews, and our reigning defending Alliance Wrestling League champion, ADT, I have to ask you, do you believe in miracles?
Sure as hell do. I know people call me crazy for wanting to go after him. He's a big motherfucker. I'm never going to deny that. But I'm not stupid. I know what I'm getting myself into. I've trained so hard. There's a lot of things behind the scenes people don't know. This is very true. I have Marine uncles. I have an uncle who was a professional wrestler in the Alabama region. If you think I'm going into this without doing anything, you're just stupid. Brother.
Okay, I got all that, but considering what your brother has already done to you on Alliance Wrestling League TV, and on top of that, what he has said here on Sportswire Radio, I mean, you're going to have a lot to do and a lot of work to convince the fans of the Alliance Wrestling League that they can get behind you, especially also to the fact that you came up short so many times for that world title, plus what your brother has said and done to you.
There has been a lot said. He's a lot of talk. He exploited the fact that I didn't want to hit my brother to a crazy degree and then claims that he's the best wrestler in the world. ADT, I'll give it to him. He got the better of me. I'm very new. That first match I had on AWL is the first match I've ever had. But since then, I've started to get a lot of training. I have done a lot to improve myself, and you can be a witness. I have improved on AWL TV by drastic degrees.
I think that there's no question that you've there's an old expression, trial by fire. You have certainly been the example of that. You have certainly been somebody that has gotten a lot of reps in. But, I mean, is there sort of something that we don't know as to why you've been so vocal about challenging your brother and wanting this? I mean, is it maybe because of the past? I mean, talk about maybe the past between you and your brother. Maybe you know something that we don't.
The past? There's a lot to our past. We fought many times. He's come out on top. I've come out on top.
You've come out on top?
I have come out on top. I mean, to be fair, we were 6. It wasn't hard to get on top of somebody who's 6. But there was a long time where we didn't really talk. So we've both improved a lot since we were kids.
So,
you know,
but
once he was out.
why was that? Was it because he went to the military and there was obviously the history there? I mean,
there's always been resentment. He's always been jealous of me. He's been jealous that people want to be around me. Nobody wants to be around you. You see him. He's first off, he's intimidating.
Oh, very intimidating. Listen, I mean, I've had a lot of people on Sportswire over the years, and he's definitely one of the more intimidating ones. He comes on here and drinks a beer, and he's got his sunglasses on, he's got the hat, he's got his muscles, he's got his tattoos. I mean, this is a guy, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he really was getting locked up again because of just what this guy looks like and what he could do.
I'll never deny he is a big man. I will never deny that stuff. But he has been jealous of me. I see somebody in the comments, not the jealous card.
I've got a ton of comments, and I'm going to play them all in one shot because that's what I like to do here first. Obviously, I want to get to know you, but I'll play all those comments up in a second. But I mean,
he's admitted he was jealous on our TV. I mean, he just doesn't like the fact that everyone likes me better. And he doesn't like the fact that I'm stepping up to AWL, and he wasn't here.
Who would you say, Mr. Morgan, likes you more or likes you better?
Oh, definitely our mother. Our mother, 100%.
Well, I'm not going to get in the middle of that, but I mean, and you have confirmation of that?
No, I'm not going to expose everything.
Expose. I mean, is there something that maybe Mr. Andrews did that maybe some in the family resent? Is that what that is? Are you trying to say?
He's done a lot, but I don't want to get into that. I want to leave stuff with my brother out of this because I'm going to say everything I need to say at Retribution.
Okay, now I got that, and obviously September 16th is coming. Certainly, it's the first ever premium show from the Alliance Wrestling. You can obviously go on YouTube and watch the show Alliance Wrestling. Go follow them on Instagram at Alliance_Wrestling_League. But I mean, let's stick to what's happened on AWL TV. Okay. I mean, your brother, he demolished you after you lost the title to ADT. Yeah. Then we saw you guys on TV a few weeks ago, and he demolished you then. So leave aside the family history, who favors one another, whether it's your mother that likes him or you. But I mean, just on TV, he's annihilated you, and yet you want him again. I mean, why?
I know what I'm capable of, and I'm not able to translate it as well to TV yet. I can fully admit that I'm not as good as I could be. But I'm working on every bit of myself. I am going to prove at Retribution that I am the main event. I don't call myself that for no reason. I believe I can be the main event.
Well, I'll tell you, there's an added bonus here to the match in a second, which I'm going to get to. But I will say this, for your sake, I hope that there is more retribution for you than what I saw last week in the movie theaters. I saw the Liam Neeson movie Retribution, and it was kind of a bummer. It was a dud. I mean, there really wasn't much of a retribution in that type of movie. So let's hope for your sake. Let's hope for your sake and for the audience that supports you that it'll be a different outcome. But there's an added bonus here to this match. And obviously we saw the news a few days ago before we came on the air from our general manager, Hillbilly Tilly, who was also on the show here, that your match with your brother, the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews, is now also going to be a quarterfinals match for a brand new championship in the Alliance Wrestling. That is the New Division Championship. And for those that are listening and watching, talk about this added bonus to the match, and what do you think it means for yourself, and kind of why you want to come out on top?
I want to come out on top, obviously, because I want to prove to my brother once and for all, I'm the main event. He was just the starting ground. But with the New Division Championship added in, that New Division Championship is a beautiful title.
Oh, I mean, that belt, beautiful. I got to say this, that belt. And I'm not just saying, because as you know, I speak with a lot of wrestlers. I speak with wrestlers all over the world. We have a legendary wrestler coming tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock British Standard Time, and the legendary Dean Allmark, cheap plug. But that belt, I got to say, I think that belt is better than what pro wrestling companies have to offer.
I was gonna say it's better than our heavyweight title too.
I was gonna say that this. I was gonna say maybe very well point.
May not be the most important, but it is the most beautiful. I will never hate holding that title. That is a beautiful belt.
So I guess then for you, because you came up short against ADT to win the heavyweight title, that for you there's added incentive, added motivation, because you want to be able to prove to everybody that you've gotten back off your feet and now you've got gold after coming up short the way you did against ADT. Is that a fair statement to make?
That's fair. I came up short, and something people, including myself, was not giving ADT credit for. Much as I hate that bastard, he is a very good wrestler, and I was trying to pull that out of him. But I thought once we finally got the old ADT pulled out, he would go back to how he used to be. He would go back to being that guy everyone loves being around.
Talk about that, because we haven't heard that here, and I'll get to comments in a second, but we haven't heard that here on Sportswire in the past, that ADT was a different guy. We see him right now, and he's a buzzsaw right now. I mean, this guy's a machine. Nobody can stop him. He's as strong as a tank, built like an ox. We spoke about that here in the past. But, I mean, you're saying he was a different character and a different person. So talk about then years ago what he was like, and maybe why do you think he changed?
Years ago, he was a 9-year-old having to be up against 16, 17-year-olds. Hillbilly Tilly as an example.
Sure.
He had to prove himself way more than anybody else. In the same way where me and Christopher James also had to prove ourselves times 10 just to get noticed. He had to prove himself times 10 to get noticed by everybody. He really is good. He just has too much of it.
Oh, I think he's a phenomenal talent. Listen, I have said it. To me, in a lot of ways, ADT is to me the new Jack Delta. I think in his ability, what he brings to the table, I mean, I think he's replaced. I mean, who's going to really usurp him in terms of what he can?
Where the hell is
well, that's a big question. Obviously, Mr. Delta has decided that he's moving to exit stage left right now, and he is retired at the moment. And will he come back? That remains to be seen. But my point is that ADT, I think, is the guy that very well could take his spot in terms of just being the best in the backyard. And you say he's a changed man, but maybe he changed for the better. Could you make that point?
Maybe as a on-screen figure, yeah, he probably did. He's probably more entertaining now. But as someone who has to deal with him backstage, as someone who has to deal with him online, no, it's way more toxic. It's hard.
Are you saying CM Punk like toxic?
I'm a fan of CM Punk.
Right? Well, boy, that was really, I gave you a softball right there. You could have said, yeah, he is. And you guys said, well, I'm a fan of CM Punk.
I don't want to talk bad about CM Punk. I like Punk. But
well, I mean, he is going to certainly talk. I'm sure he'll talk a lot about what happened to him in AEW. But, I'll let you finish that point before I read off a lot of comments about you, Mr. Morgan.
I can give you the stuff that's going around about Punk. Yeah, ADT is similar to that, where he will just start shit for no reason and then carry it on times 10 and make a big deal about it.
Well, you know what? We're going to certainly find out. And I want people to follow AJ Morgan here at AJ Morgan 112. That is 1112. Very simple. Let me get to some comments here because I got a lot of them here. Yeah. First of all, ADT is in the house. You can follow him on Instagram at ADT_is_BYW. He says, boo. That reminds me of a movie I just saw a little while ago today, Equalizer 3, where obviously the main character, Robert McCall, played by Denzel Washington, in a scene says, boo. He actually says boo. So maybe somebody knows something that I know. Main event, and kind of gives the evil laugh. Your brother is here, predictably, and he gives a number of different emojis. Also, ADT did not think you were worthy of this intro. We give everybody the intro, though, on Sportswire, to be fair. Frankie Starks wants to say, good evening, boys. Good evening, Frankie. How you doing? He also says, nah, GTF, bro, meaning get the fill in the blanks. Nobody calls him the main event, but that I'll always refer to him as my fill in the blanks. And your record against ADT is,
it's
2-1.
He's
2-1, right? He's 2-1.
I know it's probably not the thing to brag about, but I do have ADT's first loss. Even if it's a DQ, history books don't say
Oh,
DQ
you
or
were also
anything.
bragging about Christopher James in this whole Tyson Gates situation, where Tyson Gates got a
Tyson
victory
did.
because of Christopher James's interference, and you were bragging about that a little while ago. Why would you go and interject yourself in that?
He's been interjecting himself backstage all the time. This is the only way I can do anything is online. But because I'm not going to start a fight with him backstage for no reason. Especially when I
Are
have
you
someone else on
upset?
my
Well,
mind.
are you upset about the term "always jobbing Morgan"?
I don't give a shit what he says. It
No,
doesn't
but
affect
he
me in
said
any
that a
way.
lot here on this show. He has said he's
That's
referred to
all
you as
he
always
does.
jobbing Morgan.
He always talks. I don't care what ADT has to say. He doesn't. His opinion means nothing. We're in a backyard. Get real.
Wow, boy, we are throwing
Ooh, shots
lobs on
fired.
sport. Shots are definitely fired. Tell you what, in 15 minutes, I think I've heard more shots fired in this show than what I did see in the movie theaters last week of Retribution.
You really hate that fucking movie, don't you?
That movie, I gotta be honest with you, it really was terrible. It was really a complete waste of my time. I will tell you that much. But I'm not here to review movies right now. I'm here to talk about Alliance Wrestling, self-proclaimed main event. I think I know the answer. Is this man related to Liv Morgan?
No, I'm not.
I was gonna say. She's from New Jersey, and I don't think you're from New Jersey.
Wolverine, Michigan.
Yeah, you're from Michigan. There you go. What does a Marine family have to do with wrestling?
Marines are taught to fight. I'm getting taught to fight.
That's a
not
little
just wrestle.
unfair. Yeah. Listen, that's obviously we do want to thank everybody for their service and everybody that goes out there and gives us the opportunities here to observe in Labor Day weekend. But I definitely do think that, look, being in the military, certainly I think in a lot of ways can prepare you for wrestling because of the different things that you go through. So I want to make that clear. But we thank Frankie, obviously, for tuning in. And my point exactly. I want to say hello to Daniel Banner from the UK, from GT Ministries, who was up at 2:15 in the morning. Says hello, gents. Yeah, well, I have a lot of listeners in England, so once in a while they pop in and out. Not the jealous card. And then he says, jealous. Your brother said, sure, in terms of some of the things you said earlier. And he also says, keep our mother out of your mouth. What do you want to say toward that?
My mother, too. I can say whatever I want, and she says a lot about you behind your back.
Really? So you still stick with that? Okay, now I'm not going to... Okay. Now, is Thanksgiving going to be awkward for you guys this year? That's a fair question.
He lives in North Carolina. He doesn't come down much.
And you're and where are you again?
We're living in Alabama.
You're in Alabama. He's in North Carolina. So,
yes.
I mean, Thanksgiving though this year though, you don't think then you'll see each other?
No, he doesn't.
Will you exchange Christmas cards with each other?
Yeah, we're gonna exchange Christmas cards with middle fingers in them.
That's exactly okay. I see. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to certainly say that Frankie's right here. This table is definitely getting flipped. He also says the war criminal, Dylan Andrews, it'll be awkward because you'll be drinking gravy through a tube.
You already beat me, and I'm not drinking gravy through a tube. What's going to change?
As a big brother myself, big brothers will always rule, well, except for the Usos.
Do you know how to spell? That says accept, not accept.
I got that. And I'm still going on about that movie. Yeah, it was a terrible movie.
Not you.
Oh, I got that. It was a terrible movie, but I know we're not here about that. In the main event, I have always been. You have been piggybacking off mine and your brother's name. Now, do you feel that is a criticism that should be lobbed toward you?
Should be? No, but I understand where people are coming from. When you put yourself online, you're going to get criticized no matter what. It's something you have to prepare for. I'm sure them two had to prepare for it too, where you're going to get people who are hating on you. You're always going to get
But could you make the point that your brother and certainly ADT, though, have had the success to back it up, where you're still kind of figuring out where you are in the identity?
ADT, I'll give you, what is Dylan Andrews? He's beat me once. I didn't want to fight my brother. When we go toe-to-toe, I stop holding back.
But he's got a pass. But your brother, though, to be fair, has had a past, though, in this sport. He's also had a past.
He had a past, but he can't prove what he can do now. He's not going up against 9-year-olds. He's going up against grown adults now. ADT grew up and started fighting people, and he's still good. He can talk some shit, and I can get over it because he has a little bit to back himself up. What has Dylan Andrews done in the past 10 years?
Well, I mean, he's beat you so far.
Again, I was holding back, but I'll give you that. Once Retribution comes, I'll prove what I can do.
Okay, I'll come back to that. I have more comments.
Okay.
Dylan Andrews, your brother, would like to say, I like who ADT has become.
I'm sure you do.
He's a tank with a Ferrari engine. I forgot who used that.
It was Bray Wyatt, Husky Harris.
Yeah, and I think that's referring to ADT here. And ADT would like to say, I'm better than Delta. Well, you know what? I would say right now at the moment, because except for a few other matches that are going to air that Mr. Delta had taped, I mean, ADT right now, to me, might be the man in the backyard. I would take him over Ledger Shade. I would take him over Craven Rage. I mean, Jason Storm is going back and forth with ADT, but ADT may have the edge. It's a tough call there. I mean, you think of a champion right now. I mean, who's up there?
I would say Jason Storm. Jason Storm's proving himself well.
Jason Storm's definitely up there. There's no question about that. And he's had success over Jack Delta. Fair point.
That's a hard one because as much as I want to
Corey Lee and XCW, I would give as a bonus, although he just lost the title. I mean, but I'm kind of grasping at the straws. I know. Also, Dylan Andrews wants to say way better than Delta. That was a funny one. I gave you that win. Yes, technically that's true. Always jobbing Morgan and Caps Locks. Here we go again with the piggybacking of family members. This stream is going to get hot. Yeah, it's been hot so far. He says, screw the Christmas cards. I misspelled it, but you're still going on personally in a backyard wrestling league, and you don't even weigh 200 pounds. Sit down, son.
215.
So you've measured yourself.
Actual weight. Yes. I go to the gym. Okay. There's a weight there. I stand on it. It's
I respect that. No, I take your word for it. If you've measured yourself, I can't argue with that. ADT and I are around the same age. I'm the original AWL champ. Put some respect on my name.
Okay. You guys were kids.
I'll mop the floor with Storm. Well, you know what? That's certainly a possibility. Maybe we could see that down the road.
I'm torn with that one.
It's a tough one, very tough one. Dylan, please destroy this kid. So you have somebody out there that wants to see you annihilated.
Haters come. Look how many people hated Roman Reigns. He was at the top.
It took him, I would say, yes, it took him until COVID to really morph into it. But, I want to talk about, obviously, I want to come back to this new division championship thing here, because obviously you've got a lot to prove. Obviously, you fell short to take the heavyweight title from ADT. You've got this situation with your brother. So, I mean, kind of talk about what's the game plan going into this match with your brother in order to advance, to have a chance to hold up a title that you fell short in previously in the heavyweight title, but now you can make up for it here in the new division championship.
I already know I can beat my brother. That I just have to prove that to people. But once I'm done with him, my target is on that new division title. I want to go through every person in that tournament, and I want to win that title. That's all I'm set for. And I know that tournament's going to be hard because there's a lot of great talent coming in. There's one guy I've been looking at that scares the hell out of me.
I was going to ask you as a side point, and we spoke about this last week on the show, and I'm sure you heard this by now, that there are going to be new rosters, new members of the roster that are going to be added. Now, I'm sure this is going to play into the tournament itself. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on these new members of the roster that we're going to see sprinkled in here in the coming weeks. And certainly I would imagine by Retribution, we'll hear more about this. And, how does this play into your strategies?
Well, I've been watching them train. I know what they're getting taught how to do. That's the advantage all five of us that are already here have, is we can watch these people train and learn how to fight them. It's bad in theory to let us watch, but I've been watching these guys. There's already been one announced, Hacksaw Brown.
Yep. We spoke about him last week on the show. Yep.
He's a big guy, but how much does he have to back himself up with is all I'm going to say about him. There's a couple guys that are scary.
And obviously I would imagine that we'll hear more about these names added to the roster. So, I mean, you're not going to have it easy then, even if by some chance, right, you get past your brother. You're still going to have a lot up against you in order to advance. I mean, so I had asked the question to your brother in ADT last week on the show, and I'll ask you the same question, but in a different way then. You don't think then that possibly that you could really have the odds stacked against you and it could work as a negative towards you? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think there's odds stacked against me in that tournament because the only people I really have to worry about is Christopher James. That it may be Tyson Gates, but not really. Christopher James is the only one I'm having to study. I'm the only one I'm having to really train for because
But couldn't you
he's
make
really
a point
good.
though? But you dismissed Tyson Gates, but he beat ADT last week in a
Because of
fluke.
Christopher
Sure.
James. I mean, like I like the guy, but the
But
guy
you
was
were
saying that I wasn't
gloating
200
conversely.
pounds.
But you were gloating conversely that ADT lost, and now you're saying, well, Christopher James changed the outcome.
He did, and look, I was saying that just to piss off ADT. I'm gonna be honest.
I see.
Tyson
So,
Gates is a great guy. He has potential, but the dude said I didn't look 200 pounds. I am. He is not.
so
We can
are you
ragdoll him.
saying? Are you trying to play? You think mind games with the champion because he's done it to you?
It defeats the purpose of mind games if you talk about it.
Fair enough. Here now, obviously, let me get to a couple of more comments before I make a few announcements. Do not compare yourself to Roman. Evan Leake was a better character than you.
Yeah.
Lakey, Evan Lakey.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. I'm back. What did I miss? Well, I mean, we've been pretty much talking about the new division championship here and also nothing this dude's all talk. I want to get to one more question before I do get into the announcements. So I have to ask you then, let's say you get through this tournament, you get into the finals, you got a lot to do. Obviously, you got a lot to prove. You got your brother, the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews. You have to get through him, and plus, who knows what else is in front of you. But, I mean, what would it mean to you to win the new division championship if you were so lucky to get that far and to win it? What would it mean to you?
I mean, everything. I've been watching wrestling since I was a small child. I've been wanting to do this my entire life. That title is what's going to make me. I have been working my entire life to be here. And the fact I'm here, AWL gave me a great shot. AWL, I can never stop talking about how great it is. It launched my name out there. Nobody knew who I was until I was with AWL. So
well, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this much about the Alliance Wrestling League. That's where I 1,000% agree with you. This is a company that in a short amount of time has really showcased itself as a company that you want to pay attention to because of the talent, because of the overall video package, because of the look of the show, and just the type of matches that you're seeing. It's pretty much straight to the point, ass kicking. And that's why I want people to support the Alliance Wrestling League on YouTube at the Alliance Wrestling League. Also Instagram at Alliance_Wrestling_League. And tune in on YouTube in 13 days from now because we are going to have the company's first ever premium show, Retribution. Our guest tonight, the main event, AJ Morgan, is going to be wrestling in the quarterfinals for the new division championship. And it'll be against his brother, the war criminal, the original, Dylan Andrews. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I am the man behind Sportswire Radio. And if you like what you hear from us on YouTube, please give us a sub at Sportswire Radio. Also, we're at Twitter at Thomas Price 2017, Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our content from Sportswire Radio on sportnarium.com/player. We've been debuting several podcasts, some brand new ones this week, including a new one coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern time from the man that runs XCW. His name is Fletch, a.k.a. Mr. Josh Fletcher, and his co-host, Mr. Jaden Jones. They have a show called the Giving Receipts Podcast, and they talk about all things related in the world of professional wrestling, not so much XCW in this show. And it's going to be airing here at 10 o'clock for the first time here on Sportswire Radio. So every week, the guys are going to be on. You've also had some other great shows like the Off the Dome podcast from TBK. Peter Richards, for the AOPW guy, also has his podcast here with us. So a number of new podcasts are in the works, and they're going to be airing here. So if you have a podcast out there on Sportswire Radio, you can play it here free from us anytime. All you have to do is get in touch with me through the many platforms. And I'm going to be here for a double matinee tomorrow, kicking things off here with the legendary Dean Allmark, 1 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock British Standard Time. And Dean Allmark wrestled not once but twice Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor Championship. He has wrestled the likes of the Ultimo Dragon, Jushin Thunder Liger. He has wrestled Bryan Danielson. He has wrestled Rene Dupree. He has wrestled Carl Alute, a.k.a. PCO right now. I mean, he has wrestled pretty much every big name you can think of. Even a guy called Kevin Owens when he was Kevin Steen. I mean, this is a tremendous honor. He wrestled in TNA years ago, back in 2004. He's wrestled in Japan. He's wrestled in Italy. He had his own wrestling school for 15 years. He is here with us live, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock British Standard Time. He even wrestled the legendary Doug Williams just before he retired not too long ago, and he's going to talk about all of that plus his decorated career and more. You're not going to want to miss this 1 minute. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I am going to be here with the Puerto Rican Nightmare himself, Mr. Manny Cobra from Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. This is going to be a real treat. So you're getting maybe the best of both worlds from one side of the world to another. You keep it tuned into us here on Sportswire Radio. Again, importantly, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock British Standard Time with the legendary Dean Allmark. So if you're a wrestler out there and you want to ask questions, you want to know what it takes to be in the pros and be there with some of the greats, Dean Allmark has done it. He has wrestled just about 5,000 matches in his career. Think about that. He's done 250 matches a year, just about with the exception of COVID for 20 plus years. He's going to talk all about that. But I've got some more comments here. A new comment here from somebody you might know of who's also related to Mr. ADT. He is from ROEW. He is the good guy CJ Black. And he says, isn't this guy dead? Who scrapped him off the ground?
I'm definitely not dead. Nowhere near it.
So then you must have something to prove then.
Always have something to prove. The underdog always has something to prove, and I always get put in that position.
Do you feel then you thrive in that sense of kind of having something to prove?
Hell yeah. I always love proving people wrong. It is the most fun.
Well, you're going to have a lot now, I mean, to contend with, because you've got your brother, you've got this new incentive for the new division championship, you've got a new roster here, you've got a league here that's going to have its first ever premium show. I mean, there's a lot on the line for you coming up 13 days from now.
There is. But I always like to think of it from the fans' perspectives. Retribution is going to be one of the best shows in backyard wrestling history. I mean, not only is there Christopher James versus ADT, me versus my brother, that's enough to make it the greatest.
Hacksaw Brown makes his debut.
He does.
Obviously, Tyson Gates is in the house. New members are going to be added to the roster, I'm sure, by then. It's a lot to unpack.
I'm excited for Retribution just from a fan's perspective because it is going to be one of the greatest shows in history. Because we're all really good.
Oh, no question about it. Does that then maybe almost give you an adrenaline rush? Because, you know, sometimes I interview like coaches or professional athletes, musicians, and from time to time politicians, and I'll ask them, like, if something big happens or something about to be big that they're a part of, does that give you an adrenaline rush? Does that give you an even added adrenaline rush knowing that this is the first show, added eyeballs, stipulations, titles, new things? I mean, does that give you those things?
It's a definite adrenaline rush. Nerves are a little shaking there, but I'm fully confident in my abilities to prove myself to the AWL audience and prove it to everyone here that I can do this. I can be the best professional wrestler. Everyone likes to talk shit, but when they finally get proved wrong, where are they going to be at?
All right, let me ask you a question. And I'll get to a couple of comments here in a second. But you had talked about your uncle was a professional wrestler.
Yes.
Now, Mr. James, I know also has his father is a professional wrestler. Was a professional wrestler. I'll ask you then, and don't tell us exactly what you've obviously been told, but I'm sure you've spoke to your uncle quite a bit. And what has he said to you in terms of getting you ready for this moment and proving the people wrong? Talk to me about your uncle and his influence on you.
He's been drilling me through everything, but the biggest thing he has told me, which is something you obviously can tell I didn't do in my first match with my brother.
Yep.
Take family out of it. When you're in front of that camera, when you're in that, well, we don't have a ring. When you're on that mat, there is no way you can think about somebody else and be able to win. You have to think about yourself. You have to push yourself as far as you can go and leave everyone else behind. That is some of the best advice I've ever been given. And so I have to take the fact that Dylan Andrews is my brother and put it aside go in as two wrestlers and then see who the best man is.
Has your uncle spoken to your brother?
Not to my knowledge.
So the relationship there is not the same one you have with him then?
Like I said, he burns bridges quite a bit. He's burned a lot of bridges.
Why is that?
He's an arrogant prick. That's the best. I don't know why he does anything he does. I don't know why he comes on here drinking 7 beers. I don't know why he throws beers in his entrance. It doesn't make any sense. He does a lot of dumb things. I can't explain that.
So I would take it. I would take it. Then you're not a beer drinker.
Not much. Not
okay.
Much.
All right. Listen, that's fair.
But I'm also have been poor in my life and don't like to waste product. So.
Okay, listen, you know what? Listen, it's not for everybody. Let me get to a bunch of comments, though. There's 2 more quarterfinal matches to get announced. Maybe I'll become a double champ for the hell of it.
Hillbilly Tilly, where are you at? Ask him. Okay. Let it in.
So you think, though, that's up? Do you think Tilly would even let him in the tournament?
I doubt it. From a business standpoint, I wouldn't want to have this small of a company with somebody holding 2 titles.
Yeah, but we've seen it before in wrestling. It's not out of the ordinary. I mean, Goldberg was a U.S. champ and a world champ. The Ultimate Warrior very briefly held the Intercontinental title and the world title. I mean, we've seen instances all the time where guys are tag team champions and world champions. I mean, Shawn Michaels was the European champion and the world champion for a little while. I mean, there are instances. I mean, the British Bulldog was a tag team champion and a European champion. Jeff Jarrett was even the Intercontinental and the European champion. So it's not that far-fetched if you go into wrestling history and have double champions.
It's not far-fetched, but we have 10 people and 2 titles when those companies had 30 people and 4 titles.
Sure.
So I don't think it'd be a right business move for Hillbilly Tilly to let that happen.
Well, do you think that's Tilly's call, or he plays into that consideration? I mean, Tilly goes down the line. I will say this about Tilly. He kind of calls it right down the line. We've had him on here. He's not a guy that gets...
He's very fair, and that was something I was nervous about with someone that has the history of ADT. I didn't know if he was going to favor or not favor.
No, people. He really, I got to be honest, we had him on here, and I've spoken with him off the air. Tilly is fair. Tilly doesn't really, he's very objective. He does not call it one way or the other, so I'll give you that much here. People still don't know you, and he also said you're nowhere near the best. His money's on Dylan, so obviously he's disagreeing with you.
Go for it.
Smart man.
You're going to lose a lot of money.
Now, your uncle apparently told you to get life insurance. Is that true?
That is not true. Like I said, ADT makes a lot of things.
Okay. Your uncle isn't that smart. I have breaking news, though, from our Alliance Wrestling League management. Would you like me to play the comment?
Go for it.
All right, this is from our general manager, Hillbilly Tilly. We have breaking news. ADT will not be allowed to compete in the new division championship tournament. From Hillbilly Tilly. Your reaction?
That's good. That's exactly what I said. It's not a smart business move. You got to think about the business aspect too. He has to think about how this is going to run as a company and a wrestling promotion. He's not going to let it because. Like I said, ADT is a good wrestler.
No,
it is possible he could win it.
I could understand that, but could you make a point though? If ADT is the best and he wants to compete in that tournament, should he be given a shot? Could you say it from that standpoint? Now, I'm not trying to take a side, but just to take his perspective from a second, he's going to feel that, you know what, I'm a champion. I've proven I'm the best. Why can't I compete in this tournament?
My point would be, why would you want to? This new division championship is going to prove who's going to come next for your title. Wouldn't you want to let people get their shot?
Well, maybe he wants to eliminate that possibility.
That is a fair point, but I agree with Hillbilly Tilly on this. He doesn't need to be in the tournament.
He also, ADT believes that Hillbilly Tilly stays preying on my downfall. Do you think that's the case?
No comment.
All right, so I got all this, but I have to ask you.
Okay.
Because it's still fresh in the wounds of people a few episodes back. And I'm going to go back to it, what your brother, the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews, did to you. I mean, it was basically a massacre. Famously, we've heard of the Boston Massacre. And this was really the Alabama Massacre about what happened to you. I mean, I really still go back to the point of, do you believe in miracles, about what happened to you a couple of episodes, the main event, AJ Morgan?
I don't know if I need miracles on my side or not. Maybe I do, and I'm hoping for everything I can to win this match. I'm putting as much as I can into it, and let's just be honest. I don't think Dylan Andrews is doing anything besides sitting around and drinking beer. That is the biggest thing. You talked about the underdog thing, right?
Yep.
That is one of the biggest things people do with me is they like to underestimate my abilities, which is always their downfall.
Yeah, you think, but you just said praying. So are you going to be doing a lot of praying between now and the 16th of September?
I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I'll definitely be doing a little bit of it.
I'm a reverend, so obviously I'll certainly grant you a prayer or two.
Okay.
But I mean, to come on here and talk about praying when you've got a big match ahead and you're trying to say different things and trying to almost project a different AJ Morgan, I mean, I don't know if that's the approach that I would kind of say. Have you tipped your hand to your brother that you're praying and basically hoping here?
It's not all hope. It's a lot of work being put into it. And of course, you always have to hope that you're going to win. I mean, you can be the best boxer in the world.
Yeah, but people come on here and sport. I got that, and I respect the honesty. But I'm doing this a long time. I'm going to have Dean Allmark on tomorrow. Dean Allmark's a living legend who wrestled the Ring of Honor World Champion. He defeated Bryan Danielson not once but twice. He ain't going to talk about hope.
Well, he's been doing this a lot longer than I have. I'm still very new.
Well, you know what? You might be new, and I'm going to get to a couple of comments here before I do something. ADT says, absolutely not. No one else deserves a title match against me. Your brother then says strategy is not your forte. And ADT would like to say, need to hit up owner Sky Felton with talking to God.
Okay,
but you know
since
what?
We're talking about Sky Felton. Where the hell is he? I haven't seen him since we started this.
It seems to me Hillbilly Tilly's the one in charge, unless it's the inmates running the asylum. But that's up to, that's a question I have to ask Tilly. But you know what? You talked a lot about hope. You talked a lot about praying and different things about your brother. But we're interrupting our regularly scheduled interview here right now live on Sportswire Radio. After all the talk that you have said here tonight, live to return with us after everything you have said with a response and some, your brother, the war criminal, the original, Dylan Andrews.
What the fuck have you done?
I got a couple things to hit real quick.
I'm sure you do.
Shut your fucking mouth. So, the difference between me and you, I'm not scared of nobody in that fucking locker room. You understand me? Nobody. That's the main difference between me and you. I don't care who is new coming in. I'm not scared of nobody. Second off, you've never come out on top versus me. I've always been the one pushing your shit in. Third off, you are not the main event. Never have been, never will be. Fuck the title. I don't give a shit about the title. I'm out for blood. Your blood only.
Are you done?
I'll be done after next week.
What I will say, let Retribution talk. Tom, this has been great, but if you're going to have it on here, I'm done.
Okay,
I'll
you know
let
what?
Retribution talk.
Yeah, run like a bitch like you always do.
Well, Mr. Morgan, if that's the case, we certainly wish you a lot of luck because clearly if you're leaving here hitting the bricks, that could certainly mean I guess we'll have to find out and see it in the ring here because apparently, like I said, from the very beginning tonight, it was do you believe in miracles? And we're going to certainly find out. We can follow you on Instagram at AJMorgan1112 and the Alliance Wrestling here. So real quick, I mean, the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews, your brother hit the bricks. I mean, I'm doing this a long time, and
he's scared.
I don't think I've seen this before.
He's scared. That's what he does best. He runs away.
So then I'm going to ask you then, what is your final words then between now and Retribution for your brother, AJ Morgan, the main event.
Run. Do what you do best. Run away.
Well, did he not just run just now?
He's not running from the big fight. He needs to.
But he just came on here and left. I mean, I do this a long time, and he stormed off.
He came on here and talked his shit, and then as soon as I came in to give my rebuttal, he's gone. That shows what type of person he is. He's not man enough to back up the words that he puts out in the open.
Well, I'm going to say this before we say sayonara, because obviously I know you want to go back to some ass kicking and some beer drinking, but yeah. I'm doing this a long time, and I have tomorrow a pro wrestler, Dean Allmark, who wrestled, like I said before, Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor World Championship.
I heard Daniel Bryanson.
He defeated him not once but twice. He was in the ring with Kevin Owens. He was in the ring with Rene Dupree, Carl Lute, a.k.a. PCO. I mean, this guy has wrestled legend after legend, was in TNA. If he talked about, or if I asked him about hope and praying, he would chuckle and laugh at me. I had on Davey Blaze on Friday, who wrestled Kevin Nash. If I would have talked to him about praying and hoping to win a match, he would have laughed at me. And that's what your brother did tonight. Your brother did not sell himself. And that's why I asked him specifically about the question, do you believe in miracles? And I guess we're going to have to find out if he believes in them, because you're going to square off with him in the quarterfinals for that new division championship. And so far, it looks like the fans may or may not be on his side, or may believe that he can win this match. Few more comments before we say goodbye. Got his butt. Well, I mean, I guess I might have. It's not that I was trying to. I was trying to be fair down the line, but he's the one that walked out.
Like one of my favorite comedians. Got you, bitch.
Well, I mean, somebody basically said that I got him. It's not that I was trying to get him. I was really trying to give him an opportunity. And Bray Wyatt, to quote, "You should run." And he also said, "I wanted to roast that AJ dude. He's a punk." Well, I mean, you know what?
Can't agree with you more, Frankie.
Well, we're going to find out. Is there anything else, the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews, you would like to plug before you go back to enjoying your Labor Day weekend? And we obviously know you're going to do that, but is there anything else you'd like to plug, share, or say?
First and foremost, AWL, we got a great roster.
Absolutely.
Minus one person, but great roster nonetheless. Retribution's going to be a big show.
I can't wait for it. I cannot wait.
Not only do we have the funeral for AJ Morgan, we also got ADT and Christopher James. That's going to be a good match. My money's on ADT. And just
Hacksaw Brown.
Hacksaw Brown. We got the debut of Hacksaw Brown and the debut of many more. None of them scare me, unlike AJ, but that's neither here nor there. In the great words of Tom Bryce. Just tune in to what we got going on, because what we got going on is special.
You know what? Now that I could not agree more on, and I will say this, I want everybody to follow the Alliance Wrestling League, please, on YouTube, where you can watch the show, Alliance Wrestling League, also Alliance_Wrestling_League on Instagram. And I will say this out there, if we are going to have a funeral and we are looking for a resting place, although I shouldn't do this, I do live across the street from a cemetery. So I can certainly, could actually help out in the burial and finding a plot. But the war criminal, the original Dylan Andrews, I am sure will speak with you definitely in depth after the 16th. We're looking forward to all of it here. And I want to thank you very much. And I hope everybody has a great night here. And the last words tonight are, AJ is the only man to strike out while playing T-ball. Have a good night, boys.
He has. I've seen it. I watched him play T-ball. He struck out.
Well, I don't know. Listen, I'm going to plead the fifth now because I don't know that one. But what I do know is I'm really excited about Retribution. I can't wait to talk more about it. Stay tuned here on Sportswire for more coverage before the 16th. My name, again, is the Reverend Tom Bryce, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, your voice of all wrestling. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, 10 o'clock Eastern time, we have the debut of the Giving Receipt Show with Fletch and Jaden Jones. They're going to talk about WWE, some of their bets that happened 10 years ago, and did they come out to fruition? Also, Wrestling with the Truth airs also right after that, and I'll be back twice tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time, the legendary Dean Allmark, 9:30 p.m. TBW's the Puerto Rican Nightmare, Manny Cobra. Enjoy the Labor Day weekend, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Alliance Wrestling League. Thank you, I guess, somewhat. Thank you for the main event, AJ Morgan. And once again, to our usual, the original, the war criminal himself, Dylan Andrews. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sports.